Welcome to our learning of mass communications PowerPoint. This was put together by Dakota, Michael, Christian, Kana, Haley, and Caitlin. What is communication and mass communication? Communication is the act of transferring information from one place to another, while mass communication is the use of technology to send messages to a large and mixed audience. There are 4 different types of communication. Mass communication is communication across society. Group communication is communication within a community. Interpersonal communication is one person talking with another, and intrapersonal communication is communication within yourself. The Berlos SMCR model of communication explains what happens between a person speaking and another person listening. This source is an acronym for the 4 parts of the model. S is source, M is message, C is channel, and R is receiver. The source is where it begins, which is with the sender. The sender encodes the message and transmits it to the listeners. The source can be affected by multiple things, such as communication skills, attitude towards the audience, subject, and themselves, knowledge of the subject, and social system and culture of the source. The message is the substance and information being sent to the receiver and can come in many forms, including voice, audio, text, and video. The message can be affected by the content of the message. Nonverbal elements such as gestures, facial expressions, and posture, how the message is being treated, the structure of the message, and the form the message is being sent, such as music, language, text, and video. The channel is the medium used to send the message and includes the 5 senses: taste, smell, hearing, sight, and touch. The receiver is the person who gets the message and decodes it. The receiver and the source share the same thing that affect them: communication skills, attitude, knowledge of the subject, and social system and culture. What is mass media? Mass media is any means of communication that reaches a large amount of people. This includes music, books, television shows, newspapers, video games, and internet services. Different eras of communication. Over the years, many different ways of communication have been brought about, such as oral communication, written communication, printed communication, electronic communication, and digital communication. Media convergence. Over time, we as humans have evolved the ways in which we communicate. In today's society, we are using advanced technologies like internet, service more, and oral communication less. This is affecting our ways of communication in massive ways and has sparked many debates whether this is progress or regress for society. Technologies like computers and smartphones have had a large impact on society. Social media has played a huge role in the evolution of communication by bringing people together from around the world. Music. Like most resources, music has evolved over the years, going through phonograph, audio tapes, CDs, and progressing into our mobile phones and music players. Over the years, it has become easier to access music with online sites like YouTube and iTunes. All you need is something that has access to the internet, and you are able to gain access to millions of songs and albums just by a few clicks. With the use of the internet, many artists have been able to thrive by getting their music out to much larger audiences than ever before. It has given more and more opportunity for those who may not have had a chance in earlier years. Radio. In the 1860s, it was discovered that electromagnetic waves were able to be used to transmit signals, creating the idea of the radio. First, the radio was used for military purposes, but soon after was developed more and became a source for commercial broadcasting. Later, the radio began being used to serve public interests such as playing music, news, sports, and podcasts. Radio is still widely used today and very popular. Television. In the early years of television, there were limited sources of media available and being produced. As television grew in popularity, so did the amount of channels people were able to be exposed to. There are now thousands of different channels and many news sources to get information from. Television has become one of the top ways of communication for advertising, shows, music, and news. As television grew, so did movies, and as time went on, Hollywood became bigger and more popular. Just like the radio and music, television and movies affect how people think and give them a great source of entertainment. It is believed watching certain things in movies and on TV can change behavior, especially in young children. It is common for parents to shield their children from the more violent or risky movies. Newspapers and books. Books used to be a far more widely used source of information, as well as a source of entertainment. With the invention of the printing press, a far wider audience was able to read published work and get news from newspapers. Companies like the New York Times were able to hire journalists and press that made their living finding stories to put into the newspaper. In recent history, books have been made digital. These ebooks are able to spread to a wider audience with the help of the internet. Although there will always be a debate of which is better, an ebook or an actual book. Advertising. Advertising has had one of the biggest impacts in our society. With advancements in technology, it has become easier for advertisers to get their message out to the public. Ads started out in newspapers and have advanced through billboards and onto almost everywhere in digital media. You can see the same advertisement multiple times a day through different sources, such as on the TV, in your music ads, billboards, and magazines.